Hello and welcome to today's first stream of Blockquote, which is a show in which I will be interviewing Ukrainian startup founders, Ukrainian ecosystem builders, basically everyone from the tech ecosystem, to raise awareness of the war that is still going on in Ukraine and to paint this picture of how this tech ecosystem has been coping with the Russian invasion and how the people are still functioning through this very hard time. And joining me today is Dmitry Dubrovskyi, the CEO and the co-founder of Uklon. Dmitry, thank you so much for joining today. Thanks a lot for taking the time.
Hi everybody, thanks Andrei for inviting me. So I think that it will be quite interesting conversation. So let's start.
Yeah, I very much hope so. So before we talk about Uklon, which just very quickly, it's like one of the biggest, or is it the biggest Ukrainian taxi app right now?
Yeah, I believe so. But actually, it's kind of a duopoly. So like two main players at this market. It's Bolt and Uklon. And Uber is, not much. It's far apart.
Right. I see. So before we dive into this conversation, I wanted to say that, as I said at the beginning, we are using this stream to raise money for Ukraine through the Comeback Alive Foundation, which is a non-governmental foundation that has been active in Ukraine in the field of crowdfunding and helping the country's military from the year 2014, and now it is especially important to help the country of Russia's invasion. So you can see in the bottom of of the screen a QR code which you can scan to donate money to Come Back Alive. I would very much encourage you to do so. And for those who will be watching this stream after the fact, you can still donate. You will not see the progress bar moving, of course, but you can still donate, and I think you should still donate. I would very much encourage you to do so. These links will be working indefinitely, and just to make sure that things are working, let me start quickly to do it myself, to very quickly try to check whether this is still working. Let me see. So I am going to quickly scan this link and see whether I can indeed donate. And if you right now have a little bit of time to both also do this, or go on social media and notify people you know about this stream and invite them to join, because I think this is something that is very interesting, and this will definitely be a good conversation. So I'm gonna open this one right now. I'm sorry for the lack of focus from the overhead camera. I have no idea what's going on, and I can't really do a lot with it. Anyway, let us see. So there is this donation interface that you can work with, and you need to enter your card details, which is actually a little bit of a problem for me since I don't have it at hand, but I'm going to find it right away. So let's see, because we really need to make sure that this thing is working, and that your donations will go the right way when you do it during the stream. I am terribly sorry for this delay. I will be finishing it as we speak, but for now, let me go back to Dmitry. So Dmitry, before we talk about the company, how about we talk first about yourself? So what is your own background, and what did you do before starting Uklon with your co-founders?
Actually, I have a kind of technical background. I accomplished as a Kyiv Polytechnical Institute. It's the university, yes. And So actually, before Uklon, I was engaged in the software company, which also I founded it. And this company was specialized on developing software for taxi companies. So I was
Also for
like,
taxi companies then.
in this sphere for years in taxi and in software development.
And
Yeah,
how long did you do that?
several years before Uklon. And then we started, so Uklon was actually started as a side project in EOS, this company. And
Right.
then we, after several years, we understood the potential of this project and we separated it to to standalone company. Yeah.
Right, and so when you started this other company, Evos, what was the state of the industry? What was it actually? What was it like?
It was totally chaotic, Yeah, because it's kind of a post-Soviet time, and it's this market is not regulated, and uh, many taxi companies were working with radio stations, and so we tried to bring some technology to these dispatching centers and to help them to work with orders, yeah, and to improve it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. And then you came up with the idea of Uklon, but it still worked not like it does right now and like most of the other ride-hailing apps work, but it worked still with those centralized taxi dispatching services, eh?
Yeah, right. So actually, it worked with them, and at first it was only a website, and the people could type like their address and where they want to go, and then the order went to these taxi companies, and one of the drivers could take it. So the system was quite useful for people, but of course it was totally different to what we have now.
Right. And when did you switch from one model to the other then?
Mm, it was like a permanent process. We were changing some things, some business models. But of course, when we saw how Uber works without all these taxi companies, so we understood that we have to change this model, and we decided to work with drivers directly. Yeah, because only when you work with drivers directly, you can control the quality of the service and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. No. Of course, that made a lot of sense for you. And but how did these taxi services react when you basically cut them out of this whole process?
Yeah, they were angry, of course, because yeah, they felt that we want to, how to say, like substitute them, right? And first of all, uh, they decided to refuse our service and like not to accomplish our orders. But we um, actually we when the drivers started to connect to our platform, so it was very fast, and so we so at the end we could collect a lot of drivers at a very short period of time.
Right. And as far as I read in one of your interviews, it was a really painful thing when at some point all of the dispatching services, I think in one cities, basically just decided to turn off your application for them.
Yeah, for us it was a disaster. And at first we had some negotiations, and some of them decided to keep working with us, and it helped us. But then the amount of drivers which were working with us directly was so big that we stopped depending on these taxi companies. Yeah, so we started to work with drivers directly, and I think it's the best model.
Right, right. And so is there now any difference in the business model between you and Uber and Bolt and all the other similar services?
To be honest, we are quite similar and we work at the same market. But of course, we have certain differences. And I think that the main of them are that we provide more flexibility and more freedom to both our drivers and riders. Yeah, so if we are talking about drivers, they can see much more information than, for instance, Bolt provides to them. For instance, they
What kind of
see
information?
the whole route, they see the destination point, they see the fare of this trip, and so they are able to accept this order or like refuse. And also our customers, they also have a lot of freedom. So, for instance, in rush hour, they see the recommended price, and if they want to go and like at this moment and to find the car as soon as possible, so they should accept this price. But if they want to wait longer and maybe but pay less, then they could wait for 20 minutes and receive smaller price.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess another difference is that, as far as I understand, you are already turning a profit.
Yeah, we are we are profitable. Yeah.
And when did you become profitable? How long did it take?
Actually, we were profitable all the time, maybe except several 2 or 3 years. In 2019, maybe when we started to provide a lot of incentives to drivers and riders. But in 2021, we were really profitable, and we made maybe more money than all years before. Yeah, because we grew 2 times bigger just in 2021 comparing to 2020. So the speed of growth was amazing.
Oh, that's a huge growth. Was it connected to opening in the new geographies?
Actually, we expanded to almost all big cities in Ukraine, more than 200,000 population. And also we started to provide new marketing tools, and it also helped us to increase our market share. And
Right.
as you see, the application is also very beautiful now. So you could compare it to Uber, what Uber has or Bolt has, and even though they have big IT departments, I think much bigger than we have.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I agree that the app really does look nice. Being Ukrainian, I come to Ukraine reasonably often, and I did use the app on many occasions. I think it's it definitely can compete with the rest and probably outperforms them in many ways. So kudos for that. But just trying to understand still growth 2 times in 1 year. That's really a lot. So do you think? And I would say that probably the market is quite saturated in Ukraine at this point. So like most people are using taxis. So it's not like more people are starting using taxis, right? So if you grow, it's either you open up new geographies or you manage to get passengers and probably drivers from other services.
Okay, it's interesting question. Thank you. To be honest, I don't know the right answer to this question, but what I think is that the habits of people they changed because of coronavirus. So they understand because actually public transport didn't work during coronavirus period, right? And many people tried taxi, yeah, to get to work. And they understood that it's affordable and they can use it and it doesn't cost a lot of money for them. So many people switched from public transportation or like owning their private car to taxi. And also, what I see that Uber wasn't doing greatly, and we could, um, how to say, like overtake them. And I think it's the second reason.
Right,
So now
right.
we have two major players, and Bolt and Uklon.
Yeah, I kind of have forgotten about the coronavirus. I hope with everything else going on. So I mean, we're getting to the topic which is obviously closer to the situation at hand, and so. And there is also a question in the chat that's pretty obvious, as in how did the war change the work of the service? So let's try to approach this from the beginning. So so did you actually plan for any kind of scenario similar to what had actually happened? Did you have contingency plans for the war?
To be honest, we were expecting that Russia invaded Ukraine, but maybe only the southern and the eastern region. So nobody expected that actually Russia could invade like the whole territory of Ukraine, and it was kind of like a big surprise for all the people in Ukraine, and it's not even a surprise. Yeah, it's kind of stress. Yeah, so at first, we started to evacuate our family, but at the same time, we understood that people need our service, and we didn't stop it for a moment. And unlike Bolt or Uber, because they stopped operating in Ukraine when the war started. Yeah, and
Okay.
it was like big problem for many people. So we understood that we should keep working. What else? After we evacuated our families, so many of us returned to Kiev, and actually all how to say, male founders are in Kiev now. Yeah, and a major part of our team is in Kiev as well. And so we keep working, and we don't want to give in. And I think that we'll work until our victory. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. And. But you did see the change. You did see the change in the way that service is working, right? I guess since, as I said, a lot of people in Ukraine do use a taxi pretty often, and a lot of people work as taxi drivers. You could probably see the reflection of the situation with the invasion reflecting on the service. Did you start noticing that from the beginning?
Yes, of course. At first days, the amount of trips dropped significantly. So almost, it seems to me, seven times less than before the war. And so for us, it was like totally a disaster. So we understood that we are loss making. We were always loss making at that time. Yeah, but actually we had some finances, and it helped us to go to pass through this period. And now the situation is better. So now the amount of trips is only 2 times less than before the war. So what we see that Kiev is recovering now. Dnipro is recovering, Odessa is recovering. So the life in these cities is recovering. And I think it's also a good signal for all businesses in these cities that actually we can work here, right? And of course, the situation in Western cities, it was okay for all the time during the war.
Right. Now, Dmitry, I'm terribly sorry. May I ask you to tilt your laptop a little bit so that your cam looks a bit lower than it does right now? Because right now we can only see your head. Yeah, a bit lower still, a bit further like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Because
Yep,
maybe
this is great. Yeah, I can now we have you. Now we have you in the middle of the picture. Thank you so much. So just a very quick housekeeping announcement. This is still the Blockquote show, the stream to raise funds for Ukraine's war effort through the Comeback Alive Foundation. If you have just recently joined us, you could see the overlay underneath our faces, which is a progress bar. We have a goal of raising 300,000 hryvnias in this stream, which is about 10,000 euros. You can at any time, even if you're watching after the fact, scan the QR code in the corner of the screen and donate to the Comeback Alive Foundation and help Ukraine and its people fight this war with Russia. Getting back to the questions that I had prepared for you, Dmitry, so you're saying that many cities are obviously recovering, and you can see it in the number of trips taken. At the same time, there are a few territories within Ukraine that are now temporarily occupied by the Russian military. What do you see happening there, and is Uklon still operational in those parts of the country?
to be honest, it's it's difficult to say some like good news about Mariupol, is a Mariupol or Kherson, because we stopped operating there as it became kind of occupied territory. Yeah. And in Mariupol, it seems to me that after 4 or 5 days, the amount of trips became like zero. Yeah, so people stopped using taxis there at all. And I think that we understand why, because the life there was like very dangerous, and they were always under bomb shelling, right? And so it's horrible. Yeah.
Right.
And what as for now, I think that Kherson it still could be recovered as a city, but we should take it back, of course. But as for Mariupol, I don't know. It was totally destroyed. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I hope we recover it as well. I hope.
Yeah, that's true. And I also know from some previous interviews I saw with you that Uklon has been helping a lot in terms of volunteering and helping people to evacuate from the most dangerous parts of the country, and helping with the supplies and everything. Can you talk to me more about that? So what had you been doing, and how did you coordinate this whole volunteering effort?
Yeah, actually, we understood that people wanted to use our service differently, because they needed to go out the city to the western borders. Yeah, and so we launched, and it seems to me like in 2 or 3 weeks we launched new service. We called it Evacuation, and so people could order a taxi. Actually, it was just a car now. It's not a taxi to the western border, or maybe to the western city like Lviv or Chernivtsi. And what I know is that we accomplished almost 5,000 such trips. So we evacuated almost 5,000 families to the borders from Kharkiv, from Kiev, and from Mykolaiv.
Right. And you've been also delivering supplies and food, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was the second our project. We call it volunteer. Yeah, so some of our drivers were ready to deliver products, some medicine to our, how to say, like points of territorial defense. Yeah, and it was quite dangerous, because at that time Kiev was not surrounded, but there were a lot of Russian troops in suburbs of Kiev, and so it was quite a high risk for the drivers. But we also accomplished a lot of such deliveries maybe more than 5,000.
Right. Is it something you're still doing now as well?
Yes, but of course we understand that now in Kiev and in Kharkiv the situation is different, so it's not so dangerous. So now it's like the ordinary like order. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
nothing special. Yeah. So we pay some extra, but at that time we paid like 3 times for that order for drivers who risked to deliver such medicine and products to territorial defense.
So I guess right now, with many people coming back to the cities in Ukraine, there should be now enough drivers that would be looking to work in taxi and work with you. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, we don't see any lack of drivers now
Mm-hmm.
because when people lose their job, usually they go to taxi because it's the fastest way where you can make some money.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of crisis regarding work, and so yeah, we have enough drivers, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? That we have this algorithm which mm, provide us the flexibility, so we can adjust if there is not enough drivers. So usually the prices go up, and
Mm-hmm.
so the new drivers appear.
So you don't see this much of price surging anymore because there is enough drivers.
Yeah, nowadays the surgeon is only, it seems to me, during the evening rush hour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I understand. Well, I mean, there are of course enough drivers now that you're saying it, but what there is not enough of, as far as I understand, in Ukraine is fuel. And how are you dealing with that?
To be honest, many of our drivers they use gas instead of
Mm-hmm.
diesel, for instance. Yeah, instead of petrol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so gas is available on many petrol stations. So it also helps us to provide this
Mm-hmm.
to provide all our customers with drivers. And what else? I think that drivers who are like who want to make money, they usually they know where they can take this petrol.
Mm-hmm.
They know the certain like petrol stations. Maybe they could get up early, maybe at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, and so usually they solve this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we try to help them as well, so we provide them with different like cards, yeah, so they can find petrol or diesel uh, without queue, without staying in queue.
Yeah, yeah. Just for the context to people joining us from outside of Ukraine who have not a lot of information about what is actually going on. There is a pretty big fuel crisis in the country right now, and what I'm hearing from a lot of people in Ukraine that it has become a pretty big problem in many cases to actually buy fuel, particularly gasoline or diesel. So it is a big question how the taxi drivers are dealing with that. So it's a great thing that it is still possible for them to operate. And you were just mentioning the algorithm that Uklon has, and I remembered another question that I was thinking about when I was looking at your LinkedIn profile. I noticed that the company that's listed there is not called Uklon anymore. It's called Tag/Uklon. So what is Tag/Uklon? What's it supposed to mean?
Yeah, actually, it's like okay, it's before the war, yeah. So at that time we had problems with hiring engineers because
Uh-huh.
they thought that like only taxi company and there is no technology here, and we wanted to show them that we have a lot of different technologies, like very complex algorithms, and so we even remained one part of us to take Uklon. Yeah, actually, IT department to take Uklon, but then the whole company decided to rename to Tech Uklon because so we wanted to show that we have a lot of technical solutions and we have quite big IT department as well. So almost 130 people. If we are speaking about developers, QA specialists, product owners, and stuff like that.
Right. And how big is the company in total? How many people do you have working?
In total, we have 500 employees, a little bit less than 500.
So
Before we had a little bit more, but now we have a little bit less.
So give or take, it's about a quarter of the entire headcount is engineering and the product team.
Yes, right.
Right, I see. And what I also know is that you were planning at some point to enter other countries, and first of all, and even other continents. And among your plans was Africa. Did it ever happen?
Yeah, we were planning to expand to Africa, but then the coronavirus started, and now we were planning to launch in Azerbaijan, and the war started. But anyway, we decided not to postpone our plans this time, and we have. To be honest, now we are very flexible and open to all propositions and all opportunities. So we are discussing now with quite big holdings of Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan to launch in these countries with them, like using kind of synergy, you know. And also we launched franchise model, and so like we provide our software and our processes to everybody who wants to launch a ride-hailing company. And so we also have some clients who, so they wrote to us that they'd like to launch using our franchise model. So we are already on the kind of final stage now with them. So yeah, I think that somehow the war motivated us to move faster, you know, because it's a time when you can't sit at one place. Yeah, you have to change something in order to survive as a company and physically. You know.
And just like to be like entirely frank, do you think that the company actually can survive if the war drags on until the end of this year, or even past the end of this year, as some of the analysts are forecasting right now?
You know, it depends. It depends on Russia, and it depends on Putin's I don't know, whatever in his mind, right? So it's not the hottest stage of the war now. Yeah, the mainly conflict is in the eastern part of Ukraine. Okay, we see some missiles hitting Kiev and other cities, but they don't do a big damage now. Yeah, of course it impacts our economy, and so I don't know what happens to our hryvnia, to what happens to our like financial system. Yeah, but I believe that having the situation like now, we can survive this year and the year after this and the year after. Okay, I think that 3 years in a row we can survive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it depends. Yeah, it depends on the how the war is going on.
And are you still right now through this time managing to support the military, to support or the civilian population? Are you doing any sort of volunteering project at the moment?
Yeah, of course. So we were doing some we were sending some funds to. It seems to me the famous fund in Ukraine, Come Back Alive, and we were sending funds to them from 2014 because we believe. I can't say we believe, but we knew that we should expect Russian invasion. Yeah, and that's why we should improve our army forces and stuff like this. That's why we invested in these funds for years, and now we stopped investing for maybe like 2 months because we had to like find out how to survive. But now things are better for us, and I think from June or from July we'll revert our payments to these funds in the same amount. I think it's around what we can afford ourselves now. It's like $10,000 per month.
Right, right. Now this obviously helps, and yes, Come Back Alive is one of Ukraine's largest crowdfunding institutions right now, helping the military from the year 2014. And again, for the people who joined this stream just recently or started watching now, we are raising funds for this same foundation as well. So you can see below the QR code that you can scan with your phone, and then you can donate money to help Ukraine's war effort through the Come Back Alive Foundation. Now, Dmitry, I wanted to bring another question from the chat, and first is the evacuation tariff. Was it actually free for the passengers, or maybe was there a zero commission for Uklon itself? How did it work?
No, it was not free. Usually, it was a matter of a deal. Yes, so usually, a customer negotiated with the driver about the price. Yeah, and at first, I think during the first month we didn't take any commission, any fee for such orders.
Right.
But then we had kind of fixed commission fee for such orders, not like it wasn't connected to some percentage. Yeah, and I think it's regarding driver, it's totally fine because if you want to be evacuated by the car from Kiev to Ivano-Frankivsk, of course it's worth money, right? And because you have another option, you can be evacuated by train, but some people prefer to be evacuated by car.
Yeah, I understand. And then there's another very long question in the chat that I will not bring because nobody's going to have time to read it through, but I will just paraphrase it. But what do you think about the ethical aspect of using the search algorithms, especially in the first weeks of the Russian invasion? Because the person asking this says that in his experience, the tariffs, the fees were very, very high for taxes. So why didn't Uklon, for example, or any other company, why didn't you manually override the surges, and why didn't you stop the growth of these taxi prices as people were struggling to basically find their way out of some of the more dangerous zones of the country?
Yeah, because you should understand that we actually are the marketplace. Yeah, so we just connect the riders and the drivers. And so the search algorithm, it's actually the way how to find this price which is good for both sides. And if it goes up, then there are no drivers who want to take you for that price. Yeah, and then it goes up. Yeah, and so of course we manually limited it at a certain stage. But if we don't use search algorithms that you can, then you will try to find a car and you can't. Nobody will take your order. So if you want to go, then during wartime, then drivers they want money for their risk. Yeah, and as I said, that Russian troops they were near Kiev, in suburbs, and yeah, it was risky to be honest, and that's why the prices were higher. Um, and what is wrong with ethical issues? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a very big question. I think it has been raised a number of times, but I think. Like in my personal view, I think there must be ways to limit the surges in certain situations, including a war, including any sort of natural disasters when people really need this help. But then again, I'm not inside of your business, and I might be wrong here. And there was another question again coming from the same person, just a follow-up, really, saying that some of the taxi parks, so taxi dispatching services, they worked with Uklon, and also they tried to take their cars from Kyiv to the western part of Ukraine. And as far as I understand this question, they would take people from Kyiv to the western part of Ukraine for free. And the question is, why didn't Uklon support this initiative? Do you know what it is about, and do you know how you approach this as well?
Yeah, but it depends on a certain car fleet. So if they provide this service, because car fleets it's a separate business, it's not Uklon.
Right.
So Uklon doesn't own any like cars. And regarding these car fleets, some of them they took the cars with their drivers, and some of them can't do it, and then they decided to use customers to go out to the city with their cars. So I heard that Bolt had some car fleets who had this approach. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe in Uklon we had several, but not too many. And if they provide cars for people for free to go out of the city, so it's okay. But we don't own uh, the cars, and actually it depends on these car fleets owners.
I understand. And speaking of you not owning cars, is it something that's going to change? Do you have any plans of becoming an actual taxi operator as well?
No, it's not our like main power. It's not our advantage. So we are good in managing things like marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
like software, but we are not good in owning our car fleet, you know. You have to
Right.
be the professional in one sphere, in one direction, not everywhere.
So, do you actually consider yourselves a technology company right now?
Sure, sure. We consider ourselves as IT company which drives this industry, meaning like ride-hailing industry.
Right, right. I understand. And so another question, more of a bigger picture in terms of Uklon and its prospects. Is there anything that you had planned to introduce within Uklon before the war, but then you sort of had to rethink it during the war, and now you don't plan it anymore? Or maybe did you get some new plans since the invasion started?
Yeah, our strategy a little bit changed because now we understand that it's difficult to raise money into like Ukrainian entity, and now we are open to different mm, kind of joint ventures, franchise models, and so yeah, I think that now we are much more flexible than before, and we have several negotiations with partners in other countries now. So yeah, the world changed us somehow. I don't know in a better way or just in another way than before.
And do you often talk to other technology companies in Ukraine, to other entrepreneurs? Is that something you also hear from them?
Mm, to be honest, I can't say that we have a lot of conversation now because early we usually we met each other on different conferences, like different meetings. But now the situation has changed, and so yeah, I was speaking to some of them, and yeah, but mainly people are trying to survive as a business now. So it's not about like new opportunities or new whatever. Like yeah, but anyway, people try to survive, and people try to change something, and people try to find new opportunity, even in such horrible situation as now.
Right. Yeah. No. Of course, I totally understand that. So, Dmitry, I think we can finish this conversation on this note, and I wish you all the best with everything that you are doing right now in Ukraine and for Ukraine. And thank you so much for everything that you have already done. Thank you, Dmitry.
Thank you, Andrei.
And for everybody watching this, this was the first episode of Blockquote, live streamed interview with Dmitry Dubrovskyi, the CEO and co-founder of Ukrainian company Uklon. This is a stream in which we are raising funds to help Ukraine and its people during the war. You can always scan the QR code in the corner of the screen and donate through the Comeback Alive Foundation. This money will go to help Ukraine's military in the war against Russia. In the meantime, you can always follow this channel and take a look at the streaming schedule. New interviews will be announced very shortly, and I hope to talk to you then. Now, thank you so much for watching and have a good evening.